Ozan's boots crunched against the crystalline floor of the abandoned Zethari laboratory, each step echoing through chambers that had been silent for 17 standard years. The auction listing had called it a research facility, but standing in its cavernous halls, Ozan recognized it for what it truly was, a slaughterhouse dressed in the sterile white of scientific inquiry. He'd bought the complex for a fraction of its worth. Most humans avoided Zethari properties after the war. Too many memories. Too much blood. But Ozan wasn't most humans. 20 years as a long-range specialist had taught him that the past was just coordinates on a map, and this facility sat on prime real estate in the Kepler belt. Perfect isolation for a man who'd spent his career measuring windage and bullet drop across impossible distances. The AI terminal flickered to life as he approached, its holographic interface stuttering through corrupted welcome protocols. Zethari's script scrolled past, elegant, flowing characters that belied the species' brutal efficiency in warfare. "Authorization required," the system announced in flawless galactic standard. Ozan pulled the ownership certificate from his jacket, pressing it against the scanner. The terminal hummed, processing, then flooded the room with amber light. "Welcome, Proprietor Ozan Chen. Previous owner, Research Director Kivnash Telvorim, deceased. All security protocols, transferred." The weight of that single word, deceased, hung in the recycled air. Ozan had put a 15mm tungsten round through Kivnash's thorax from 3,400 meters during the Battle of Titan's Shadow. One shot, one kill. The Zethari commander had been coordinating an orbital bombardment that would have killed 40,000 colonists. Ozan still remembered the way the target had dropped, the slight delay as physics caught up with death. "Display facility manifest," Ozan commanded. Holographic text materialized, listing laboratories, storage bays, quantum computing arrays, biological research wings, standard Zethari science facility. Then his eye caught something at the bottom of the list. Archive Level Omega, Restricted Access, Xenopsychology Division. Xenopsychology, the study of alien minds. Ozan's fingers moved to the faded scar along his jaw, a plasma graze from New Sarajevo. "Open Archive Level Omega." Negative. Clearance level insufficient. Override requires proprietor biometric authentication accepted. Warning. Contents classified under Galactic Convention Article 7, Section 3. Extreme psychological hazard advisory in effect. "Open it." The floor beneath him split apart, revealing a descending stairwell carved from what looked like compressed neutronium, material so dense that each step could have funded a colony ship. Whatever lay below, the Zethari had wanted it protected, hidden, preserved. The descent took 3 minutes. Ozan counted each step, old habit from calling adjustments to spotters. 347 steps down, deep enough that orbital strikes couldn't touch it, deep enough that even nuclear fire would barely register. The archive chamber was smaller than he'd expected, barely 20 meters across, but every surface was covered in data crystalline storage matrices, millions of them, glowing with soft blue internal light. At the room's center sat a single terminal, and beside it, a stasis pod. Inside the pod floated a small figure. Human. Female. Perhaps 10 standard years old. Ozan's blood ran cold. "Terminal, identify the contents of this stasis pod." "Subject Zara, designation H3847, captured Sol year 2291. Status, suspended animation stable. Research subject for Project Shepherd." 3 years before the war officially started, before the Zethari hegemony made their ultimatum to the human colonies, before anyone knew the Xenos considered humanity a threat. "What is Project Shepherd?" The terminal's holographic display exploded with data. Ozan read quickly, his sniper's focus narrowing to pinpoint precision on the horror unfolding before him. Project Shepherd wasn't a weapons program. It was worse. The Zethari had studied humans for decades, collecting specimens, children specifically, to understand human neural development, but not for conquest, for fear. The archives detailed a truth that Galactic Council had suppressed: humanity's capacity for violence, our ability to innovate warfare, our relentless expansion pattern, all pointed to a single conclusion in Zethari predictive models. In 500 years, humanity would dominate the galaxy, not through superior technology or numbers, but through sheer tactical adaptability. The Zethari, for all their advancement, were specialists. Humans were generalists who excelled at everything we touched. The war hadn't been about resources or territory. It had been preemptive genocide. Ozan scrolled deeper. File after file detailed test subjects, their neural patterns mapped and analyzed. The Zethari had been searching for a weakness, some fundamental flaw in human cognition they could exploit. They'd found nothing. Instead, they'd discovered something terrifying. Human children showed accelerated learning patterns under stress. Trauma made humans stronger, more dangerous, more capable of extreme violence in service of survival. The report concluded with Kivnash's personal recommendation: complete extermination is the only viable option. If humanity reaches technological parity, they will hunt us across the stars with the same cold efficiency they demonstrated throughout their evolutionary history. They are apex predators who evolved to hunt predators. We are prey that learn to use tools. Project Shepherd must be destroyed. All evidence purged. But it hadn't been destroyed. Kivnash had kept the data, kept the subjects. Why? Ozan found the answer in the final log entry, dated 3 days before the Battle of Titan's Shadow. I have failed our species. The humans fight not with rage but with calculated precision. I watched one of their snipers hold position for 14 hours in vacuum to eliminate our commanders. This is not the behavior of beasts. This is the patience of true hunters. We have awakened something ancient in them, something that lay dormant in their peace. We taught them to hate us, and they learned too well. Forgive me, but I must preserve this archive. Perhaps one day a human will find it. Perhaps they will understand what we feared. Perhaps they will prove us wrong. Ozan stared at the stasis pod, at the child named Zara, frozen in time. Around him, the archives hummed with the weight of extinct terror, the Zethari's final testament to humanity's potential for both horror and greatness. He'd come here seeking peace, a quiet place to forget the war. Instead, he'd found a mirror reflecting what humanity had become and what the galaxy feared we might still be. His hand moved to the stasis pod's controls. The question wasn't whether to wake her. It was whether humanity deserved to know the truth about why the Zethari had tried to exterminate them. Ozan's finger hovered over the release mechanism as amber light painted shadows across his weathered face. Outside, the stars watched in silence.